Are things really fair in Silicon Valley if you want to do a tech startup, regardless of your race? Well, there has been a lot of discussion in the last couple of days since CNN released just a snippet, just a soundbite of Mike Arrington, founder of TechCrunch. Now he's exited from there, but saying that he doesn't know a single black entrepreneur. Now, they released this just about a week before the formal screening of the Black in America documentary that they filmed this summer covering the New Me Accelerator, which had 11 Black founded technology startups in the Valley, in Mountain View, pitching, getting mentored, all these different things. So, what's really been going on? Well, you should definitely check out the soundbite there and the statements. I was extremely offended and disappointed. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to give you some quotes and some other information about what's been going on. Now, one, let's start with accountability. That CNN would release a soundbite like this. They want to stir things up. They are the media. I learned 2 years ago that you cannot trust the media. If you say something on camera, if it's overheard, they will often use it to their benefit. They want to drive traffic, right? They will even take your tweets and use them against you out of context. So be careful, folks. Then I am completely appalled and disappointed that Mike Arrington would say this, regardless of the context. And yes, Soledad O'Brien, who interviewed Arrington, said that Monday they will be releasing the transcripts of the interview. So I'm really curious to see what was actually said during that interview. But Mike attempts here to paint himself as a victim. Oh, you totally took my words out of context, but Mr. Arrington, why would you say these things? You don't know a single black entrepreneur. And quote, there's a guy, actually, his last company just launched at our event, and he's African American. When he asked to launch, actually, I think it was the other way around, I think I begged him. His startup's really cool, but he could have launched a clown show on stage, and I would have put him up there. Absolutely. I think this is the first time we've had an African American be the sole founder. That's completely ridiculous, and you're obscuring a lot of information, like the fact that you've known this guy for over 10 years, and he probably helped launch your career as a lawyer, because the startup that he did in 1998, in 1999, that you helped him with legally, he sold for $23 million. So let the world know. It's very vague. So there was a ton of stuff on Twitter about this. People were upset. People like Vivek Wadhwa and Anil Dash and countless others, right? I was, in there just retweeting a couple things, just kind of massaging the awareness about what was going on. Now, some people who have been in the Valley for a while, 15, 20 years, are like, you know what? This is nothing new. I don't want to get involved. Other people were like, you know what? This isn't the whole story. And I reached out to a lot of different people on this. I sent a flurry of emails on Saturday. People who had just moved here within the last year and a half, like myself, who were black, who were technology entrepreneurs and startups. And I said, can you share your story? Can you share your experience? I also reached out to investors who were black or had invested in black startups, black tech startups. Can you share your story? Can you share your feedback? Why? Because Violet Blue had reached out to me. If you don't know Violet, check her out. She is not only influential, well-versed, not only on technology, but relationships between people, because really that's what business is about. People do business with people they like. We'll talk about pattern matching later on. I also reached out to longtime people in the Valley who were black and said, can you share your experience? What's it like having been here 15 years as a black person? What have you seen? What has changed? Now, what I can tell you from my own personal experience is that almost as soon as I got here, black people began reaching out to me and pulling me into their network. Oh, let me take that back. Even before I moved here, they were reaching out to me on Twitter saying, I'll introduce you. I'll do this. I'll connect you. Oh, great. And one of the first places where I really feel like I felt like I belonged was with black founders. Started by 4 black technology co-founders. They created this organization to connect other Black tech startups with each other, help them collaborate, bring together resources, and educate them about what it takes to have a strong pitch, have a great deck. You know, what are term sheets? How do you work with that? It's been amazing. At least twice a month, they have events. One is social, and then one is focused on your business. There was just an unconference a couple of weeks ago. It was amazing. In fact, one fellow there, Dennis, who is attending Princeton and has a Black tech startup, said, you know, I don't remember the last time I've been in a room with this many amazing Black people. He felt so inspired. And then we got to meet up later in New York. He's a great person. I made some introductions for him out here in San Francisco. This is real. So the other thing that surprised me about Arrington saying this is that I've been going to TechCrunch Disrupt, his conference, for the last 2 years. Before that, I watched remotely online, the live stream, that's right, from Minnesota. And I thought one day I'm going to go to TechCrunch Disrupt. One day I'm going to walk through the halls at that conference and network. And I've done that. Last year, on stage, he had Chameleonaire. And Chameleonaire, you know, he's a musical artist, okay. But what he said on stage about technology and startups and the audience at TechCrunch like struck me so much so that I had to reach out to him. I walked up to him at one of the parties afterwards and I said, what you said on stage touched me. I want to help with that. Now, what did Chameleonaire say? He said, you know what, at this conference, Mike, he was sitting there on stage, him and Mike, they were talking in the chairs, and he's like, you know what, I really don't like the ratio I see here. You know, there's a lack of African American presence at TechCrunch Disrupt. There is interesting information, there is valuable information, and my people aren't hearing it. They're not getting this, you know, and that struck me. One, that he was basically raising awareness, the lack of diversity at the conference. Two, he was saying it publicly on stage, right? And three, I'm like, oh my God, I'm here listening to this. I mean, this means I must take action. Now, last year I wasn't sure how to bring it all together, but this year I did. So I interviewed Chameleonaire. I introduced him to Black founders, told him what they were doing. I'm impressed. I had consistently participated in their events because they are going somewhere. They have delivered value to me and to others. It's been amazing. But that's not the only organization out there trying to bring together Black tech founders. There are a ton of other things going on, like the Black Stealth Dinners. I won't talk about that much right now, but I've been to 2 of their events, and it's amazing when you hear people introduce themselves like around a room, and you hear the colleges that they went to, you hear the companies that they have worked at or that they're currently working at. All the top tech companies that you can think of, Google, Zynga, all these companies, Facebook, all of them, all had Black folks there at this dinner. It was amazing. There's a lot of stuff going on. So you know what I think, Mike? You know what I think you're doing? I think that you're doing this for attention. You knew that it would stir up a lot of things. You knew what CNN wanted, and you gave it to them. Now you did this blog post. You're saying, "Oh, poor me. The world is calling me a racist." I'm not calling you a racist. What I am calling you is someone who is unwilling to explore white male privilege and do anything about the oppression that is the status quo right now. And I saw in your post, you're like, oh, I'm gonna support will.i.am because he's doing something. Isn't he doing that in Chicago? Don't you live here in California? There are some amazing initiatives that you can help with right here. So yeah, I said what I said, and I mean it. And I challenge you to do something real in your neighborhood, in your city. The same thing goes for when people do relief efforts, but they help out halfway across the world. There are often amazing opportunities in your own city to make a difference and make a change. Right? TechCrunch, they are right there on right 5th and Townsend. I'm not sure where you're running your uncrunched offices right now, but if you're in San Francisco, make a change in San Francisco. We're all here. We've moved here from all over. Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, Minnesota, New York. All of these Black tech entrepreneurs with a dream have moved to San Francisco to get traction on those dreams. And so there have been a lot of responses. Wayne Sutton wrote a really great piece where he basically broke down that he had a conversation with Arrington the day of the interview and gave him a heads up. Hey, you're going to be interviewed about our accelerator. This is what's been going on. So again, Mike Arrington, it's hard to believe that you were not prepared for the interview and you had no idea. I do agree that if that's the complete email CNN sent you, I wouldn't have known that it would have been about race. But the fact that you started a technology conference to give entrepreneurs, startups, a chance to pitch their ideas because you felt the other conference was too stifling and not really attainable by most startups. So you were trying to offer something that gave people a voice, that you wouldn't understand the importance of diversity. Oh, so painful. But you know what? It makes sense. When I went to TechCrunch Disrupt last year, you didn't have MC Hammer speaking, you had him dancing. So I stand by my stuff. Hopefully, you will come out of your male white privilege shell and decide to be real. I think we all are challenging you to that. And yeah, more updates later, folks, but that's what's been going on. There'll definitely be more a flurry of comments. I have not seen the documentary yet, which was supposed to highlight and celebrate this first Black technology startup accelerator, New Me. Now they're going in for year 2. I'm so excited. I'm there to support them. But CNN, instead, they're dropping out these tidbits to get people just, arguing and focusing on the wrong things. It's not about if Arrington is a racist. It's not about, is Silicon Valley still unfair, because there's a meritocracy going on. And is there a meritocracy? Can you truly be rewarded based on your merits, right? Can you be recognized on them? I don't think so. And I think Monique, who's one of the co-founders of Black Founders, said it really, really nicely here in the article. I'm going to go ahead and check out the article that Violet Blue put up over at ZDNet here. Let me go ahead and scroll down to what Monique said. Scrolling, get my scroll on. Monique Woodward said, young white men don't have a lock on tech innovation. But if you look around Silicon Valley and evaluate the faces you see, it certainly appears that way. There are Black entrepreneurs with great ideas, but they're not getting funded, and certainly not at the rate that even mediocre ideas from other groups are getting funded. If Black-led startups are never funded, they don't succeed. Allow these businesses to die on the vine, and then of course it looks like there's no innovation or no innovative Black tech founders. The other part here that I think is very valuable is that Violet Blue spent time interviewing Kurt Collins. Kurt has been out here in the Valley for 7 years, and he has a startup right now, a Black tech startup. He's the founder, and they are focusing on privacy. They're focusing on mobile. They're focusing on identity. And there's a really nice quote in here from Kurt I'm going to go ahead and read as well. And I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling. All right, here we go. So Kurt Collins says, I honestly don't think Arrington is racist. Racism implies a forethought and a malice that I don't believe is there in his case. In this case, I honestly think people are confusing his extreme arrogance and overall disdain for all things, not Arrington, for racism. And then he goes on to say, with that said, the only people that have the opportunity to truly be colorblind are those who don't have to worry about their own color and societal stature in the first place. As a Black man living in America, I do not have the opportunity to be colorblind. I have to be very conscious of how other people see me, even if what I'm trying to do is make it easier for white males who cling to their color blindness to achieve that when interacting with me. Then let's go ahead into Kurt's past, which I'm really glad he shared this part. So let me scroll on down. Here he's talking about pattern matching. Kurt says, the problem in Silicon Valley is pattern matching. I was lucky. I went to a private high school and then followed that up with MIT. And add that to the fact that I dropped out of MIT, and there are ways investors can see a pattern in me that they recognize. However, Blacks in this country often don't fit into the necessary pattern. The necessary pattern for potential success is being a white male, college dropout from an Ivy League or Ivy level universities. VCs and other investors recognize that pattern. And it goes on to say, I know a Black entrepreneur out here who moved here from New York after being widowed and losing his brother in gang violence. Add that to the fact he's an orphan and had a very tough life. What's an investor supposed to think or do with that kind of story? They have acknowledged they do pattern matching. What I would like for them to do is not just acknowledge that they do this, but also acknowledge that pattern matching is just another term for bias. It may not be specifically racial bias, but it's bias nonetheless. Right? And then he goes on to say we all have biases, but it's about recognizing that, being aware of that, and then being aware that other people do not have the same opportunities. And then stepping beyond, if you're truly about success, then you're about helping level the playing field and giving people with great ideas those opportunities to pitch those and move those ideas forward. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. I know it's a lot of content. It's been, yeah, that would be my internal feelings described. Anyway, I may be putting out my blog post tomorrow on this. There have been a lot of blog posts. I saw Hank put one up as well. Would love to hear your feedback, your ideas, your thoughts on this, folks. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.